Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the September 11th, 2023 Beechwood Independent School District Board meeting. Ms. Reed, would you do roll call,
Sure.
please?
Mrs. Berger?
Here.
Mr. Hood?
Here.
Dr. Savignano?
Here.
Mrs. Sleet?
Here.
Mrs. Stricker?
Here.
Okay, we can go, Dr. Stacy, right into recognition of guests.
All right, as a history teacher, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't recognize today being September the 11th and recognize the lives lost on the attacks in New York City. So I always appreciate, I never really understood when my parents would talk about, or I heard people talk about events in time freezing, and you always remember every detail. But I can tell you every single detail of that morning, as I know the rest of you can as well. So I apologize to throw that in, but such an important date. Tonight I have the opportunity and the blessing to recognize some of our top students. GSP and GSA are two of the highest recognitions that you can receive coming through high school, along with national merit and a few others. So it's a great night, and we always look forward to September honoring. I know many of these, or some of them, are in extracurriculars and can't be here, but we would just like to take a moment. We're going to start with GSP. We had 4 members of this last year's delegation, this summer's delegation to GSP. Danica Gorlewski, Emma Hetzel, Miles Yelton, and Allison Goodwin. Are any of the 4, I know Danica and Emma, I know they, we have band, and I think we have soccer. Are any of the 4 of them?
Allison's here.
All right, Allison, man, that is so wrong. Come on up. Come on up. Please get you a medal there. Are you going to come around and take a picture with you? Yeah. Whatever's easier for you. All right, now hold on. You don't get released that easy. All right? So, first of all, tell the board what site you went to.
I was at Center College.
All right, Center College, right? See, down south we say center. You say center. That's very, very well done. All right, what was your area of emphasis? What'd you get accepted on? And give us the most valuable part of the experience.
I had biological and environmental issues, and I think the biggest thing that I took from that was I just kind of understood myself more after that, and kind of what I wanted to do more with my future and career, and I just felt more satisfied with knowing who I was.
Okay. Well, if younger students came up to you and said, "Why should I do GSP?" What would be your number 1 reason?
It was really fun. It was really fun. I feel like people think it's just oh, you're going to a nerd camp, but no, it was just a 5-week long vacation, and I loved it.
Nice.
I don't think I've rarely ever met a student that didn't love it. So congratulations on being accepted. Congratulations for having a great early experience on the college campus. And thanks for representing the institution so well.
And the scholarships are nice too.
GSA, Vega Martinez, Taylor Phelps, Mary Kate Richmond, Lindsay Thurber, Sophie Williams, and Will Heiner. Guys, come on up. You got a little bit more support on this one. Allison was solo. All right, Mary Kay, we're going to start on your side, and then we'll work our way down. What was your site, and what was your area of emphasis?
Dance at University of Kentucky.
All right.
Vocal music, also drama, also at the University of Kentucky. Music theater, also at the University of Kentucky.
Okay, what was the most valuable experience that you had while you were there?
For me, it was probably all the connections you make with the great people there. Everyone's just so creative and supportive of each other. That was probably the master classes and getting to see professionals do what they love and also making connections and being around people with similar interests and really seeing how far you can go in art. Mine was that art is subjective, so you don't have to be stereotypical. Mine was meeting people similar to me and learning to conduct my craft.
Very good. All right, and if a younger student came up to you and said, why is one reason I need to go to GSA, what would you say?
I would say you just learn so much about yourself there, and that's why you should go, so you can do a lot of soul searching or doing something you love and getting good opportunities from it. Those are one of the things that you really do learn a lot about yourself, and it's really a great opportunity to really just grow as a person, and also while learning to be a better person. I would say making lifelong friends. I would say building the connections you need to go into the place you love your career.
So, GSA is actually, both of them are extremely hard to get into. All right, first of all, GSA extremely hard because I think it's only, is it only at one site? Yeah, it's only at one site, right? So the fact that we have so many of you all being accepted into GSA really speaks volumes of our arts program, and definitely one of the main reasons why that auditorium and some of those other things are coming online. So you all give me a great reference point, so thank you so much for number one, coming tonight, allowing us to recognize you, and number two, for representing the institution so well. Much appreciated. All right.
Dr. Stacy, I think Taylor Phelps was accepted into.
Oh,
two
Taylor,
programs.
were you accepted to both?
Yeah.
Whoa!
Wow.
Congratulations. All right, parents, family, thank you so much for bringing them. It really is a great opportunity for us to recognize your student. For a small institution, to have 10 people identified, 10 students identified for GSA and GSP really speaks volumes for us. And what we get from them is just as valuable. I mean, they represent our brand, they represent our institution, and they do so very well. So thank you so much for bringing them and giving us an opportunity to recognize them. Thank you.
Okay, moving forward, we are going to go into closed session. So could I have a motion to move into and out of closed session?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Hood?
Yes.
Dr. Savignano?
Yes.
Mrs. Slate?
Yes.
Mrs. Stricker?
Yes.
All right, so therefore we will go into closed session to discuss pending litigation per KRS 61.810C. Will you stay?
Since we already took the in and out vote, I don't have to worry about that, right? I can
That's
just go,
correct.
I can go to discussion and action.
No public comment.
No public comment.
No public comment.
No public comment.
No one signed up.
No one's
No
on
one
there.
signed up, but I didn't ask. I purposely didn't ask.
It's fine.
Because I noticed a few extra people that. Okay, I'd like to thank everybody for their patience while we were in executive session, and we're going to move forward into item 2, our discussion and action agenda. First thing up is our public relations and marketing firm. Dr. Stacy?
Yeah, so my recommendation on this one is to move forward with strategic advisors on a month-to-month basis. They were by far the, well, he asked for clarification.
Clarification, yes.
They were by far the lowest bid, and they gave a month-to-month retainer. So those two reasons is why I have made that recommendation.
Okay, I'll accept a motion to bring in strategic advisors as our public relations and marketing firm.
I will move to make Strategic Advisors our PR and marketing firm.
Second?
I don't have anything else to add.
Ready? Mrs. Berger?
No.
Mr. Hood?
Yes.
Dr. Savignano?
Yes.
Mrs. Sleet?
Yes.
Mrs. Stricker?
Yes.
Okay, moving on. 2B, our working budget for school year 2023-2024. I'll take a motion to approve the working budget for the 2023-2024 school year.
I'll make the motion to approve the budget.
I'll second.
Okay, I have to do an explanation before we move forward, and then each one of you all, if you want to add to that, you're more than welcome to jump in, and I know some of you want to explain your vote as well. In coordination with the Kentucky Department of Education and the provision emailed from the Associate Commissioner to our Finance Officer, Christy Ward, we are saying that we may adopt a contingency under 2%, and KDE may approve said working budget. It is my recommendation, based on the fact that we as a board and I as a superintendent need to highlight what a 31% increase to property assessment does to a seek loser. That 31% increase netted a net loss for Beechwood Independent Schools of $1.139 million. As the superintendent and chief advisor to the board, it is abnormal to make this recommendation, but in my opinion, we do not highlight the situation for local taxpayers if we don't have the audience with the Kentucky Board of Education. Therefore, I am making the recommendation for this working budget. Anybody have any specific questions or additions to that?
I think we owe it to the community to take this action. I mean, we're net losers. I mean, 1.139, we know the school's sound, but we need to get in front of these people and have the discussion. So I don't know if we need a motion, but I would make it based on your recommendation and any other comments by people.
So for the audience here, for the audience at home, we absolutely have reserves. We have 5 different reserve funds that, as a board and a superintendent, over the last 9 years, we've worked very hard, and finance officer very hard to maintain those replacement funds for contingency purposes. Turf replacement, technology replacement, furniture replacement, transportation replacement, future construction, things that may pop up that wouldn't qualify for a BG1. We've worked diligently to grow those funds and have quite a bit of money tucked away. But if we move that over out of savings into our general fund to not highlight that loss, then we don't get an audience with KBE, the LRC, KBE, Kentucky Board of Education, the Legislative Research Commission, or the Kentucky Department of Education. So all of those opportunities are things that we want. I will also put out that our immediate action after the Kentucky Board of Education meeting in October, where we present, then I would immediately bring a working budget revision back to the Board of Education for you all to revise the budget, and we would take $500,000 out of future construction, move over to contingency, and therefore that would end in a requirement of us having to present or have any other actions with the Kentucky Board of Education.
Well, I also support your recommendation because I think we need to highlight that not only have we been a Sikh loser for as long as I've been on the board, and I'm in year 15, we used to lose approximately $2 million every year. Now that has gone up additional $1.139 million, and this would give you the opportunity to have an audience to make our case and try to get them to do something to modify the formula so that when we have another cycle 4 years from now, we don't have to take another hit. So I think this is the right approach.
I mean, nobody's ever had a 31% increase in tax.
Not yet.
I will be
Other than
perfectly
us.
fine if I never hear unprecedented ever again. And while we're very excited that the community is doing really well, and as a homeowner and as you all being homeowners, we're really excited that our property is doing really well. But we have to continue to highlight that not every Sikh loser are like the really large districts that have $1 billion budgets. That is not Beechwood. We live on a very small budget, and whenever you take out debt service, pay, and fixed cost, we really live on a shoestring budget. We're a rooftop local community. So I think you're doing the right action, because I think you need an audience with those people, because I think you need to express your concern as an elected board that can't be continually placed on to local taxpayers. And that's what we have to do as best as we can to explain when this happens. The only option is to absorb it into the budget or to go back to our local taxpayers. You have chosen to only take the 4% and absorb the rest of the cost, which I think is fine. But at the same time, I think you need that audience to advocate, for each and every property owner in the community.
Well, also part of it is Fort Mitchell's a great city to live in, whether your kids go to Beach or not. But one of the biggest reason is because Beechwood's a high-achieving school. And if you let that go away, then our homes aren't going to be worth that much. So,
Right.
That's true.
That is correct. That is correct. And you take another hit like this in 4 years,
Oh.
You're either raising taxes significantly, or you're cutting programming. And that is not the place that we can, I won't allow that. I know you won't allow that. But the only way to secure that is to make sure downstate and the Department of Revenue understands truly what a 31% tax increase, assessment increase in one assessment cycle does to a Sikh loser. We don't have federal funds. We don't have extra support from the state. We don't have all the things.
large businesses that are,
Yeah, that offset. We don't have new construction that offsets the loss. I mean, we are truly almost a fixed community. So that is very, very difficult for Frankfurt to understand. Most every Sikh loser has new construction that offsets their losses. Boone County, for example, JCPS, Fayette County, all their new construction offsets the increase in assessment values. So it's not as dramatic. For us, we had some homes built on floral.
What did you have?
I said we had a few homes built on floral. That was our new construction over 4
Right.
years. Right? The next 4 years, you're gonna have you have a pretty large development, but it's still a rooftop development up by us, by Himmer. So that, Katie assured me that I was doing the formula wrong because I wasn't taking into account new construction, which now being up here 9 years, made me giggle a little bit, We just don't, we're just a fixed community. We're landlocked. Yeah. So I appreciate you all taking this action. I appreciate Mr. Dieters and his guidance on how to do it. I appreciate KDE and the commissioner allowing us to have the audience through this. It is atypical, that is for sure. But at the same time, I strongly stand on the fact that I don't want to cover up by taking reserves out and just covering it up. I want to have the opportunity to address the Kentucky Board of Education. I want to have an opportunity to address the LRC, the Legislative Research Commission, and explain that what a 31% increase does to a small rooftop community. I also want to point out that we don't have the ability to offset that through taxes, and I want to point out that if we were a small district and a really large company pulled out and we lost this money because the company removed, we would have a 4-year phase-in, right? So there's a stopgap. There's a phase-in if a company leaves and you lose this money, but there's no phase-in for a Sikh loser whose property assessments go up 31%. It all happens at one time. And from my standpoint, that is definitely not equitable. And I do not believe the Rose case and ever intended for the Sikh formula to become so egregious to one system that it put them in a situation that if it happened multiple times, that they would have to address it in a different capacity. So that all of those reasons, I more than invite any communication or any dialogue with any member of the community, because this is not on behalf of the board. This is definitely not on behalf of the superintendent, but this is an action that we definitely want to do for our community members. Any other questions? Then we will make one of you will make a motion to approve the budget.
Somebody already make one?
Already did.
Oh, we already did?
Yeah.
Okay, my apologies.
I don't know if we have a second, but
Yeah, we did.
We did.
Yeah.
Mrs. Berger?
Yes, I vote yes, as to be heard as a board member and a community.
Mr. Hood?
I vote yes.
Dr. Savignano?
I vote yes,
Mrs.
and there are 2 reasons. One being the communication from the Assistant Commissioner allowing us to do this. Secondly, I, and I'm sure the rest of the board, want to do everything possible for the benefit of the taxpayer constituents of Fort Mitchell, not just the Beechwood families. It's very important to make that note.
Mrs. Slate?
I vote yes, giving us a chance to have that audience with the correct people to finally stand up for what we really deserve.
I
Mrs.
vote
Stricker?
yes, so that we can have the audience with the right people and hopefully influence change and protect our property values and our community.
All right, so then therefore, we'll move forward and Mr. Reed will take the vote, but I just want to reiterate, this will be back on the agenda in October. We will amend the working budget, pull reserves out and put in, and just like we would in any other situation.
If we know we have the money, if they approve it or whatever, under 2%, do we move the money right away, or do we just see what happens?
I would feel more comfortable. I would feel more comfortable moving the money because this is contrary to what as superintendents we're trained to do and board members that you're trained to do. But which is why I think all of you explained your vote, right?
But I think Brad is probably asking, would that make a stronger statement if we didn't move it right away? Is that what you're?
That, or we know we have the money, so I mean.
Yeah.
You easily have the money to have just the contingency that you've always had. It's not this time. It's not this time. It's if 4 years from now, you come across the same situation, and we didn't highlight it here, right? You're choosing to highlight it here, so if it happens down there, and nobody can say, well, why didn't you raise more alarms
Right.
at the time? And I think we can't say that enough. We have more than enough money. We could have the same contingency we've had for the last, 5-6 years.
Proactive.
Yeah,
is
we're just being
try to-
proactive, strategically proactive. And back to your point, I'm still, as your chief advisor, going to recommend, I think our attorney will do the same. We will recommend in October to do an amendment
Well, yeah,
to
it's good to
the
ask the
working budget.
question.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, Ms. Reed.
We're all set.
We've already voted.
We already voted.
Dang, you did. You explained your vote. I'm sorry.
What's in that coffee cup?
Right? It's more about the
Moving-
motion I just made than what's in the coffee.
Moving on to the consent agenda, I'll take a recommendation, a motion to approve and adopt the consent agenda.
I'll move to approve and adopt the consent agenda.
I'll second.
There's nothing really far out of line. You have your approval minutes, you have a surplus of some textbooks, your yearly interagency agreement between DCCH and Beechwood. That is where we rent their facility to house the school there. Your MOA between Beechwood and Ketsack, that is the state agency for children. The residential facility is managed by Ketsack. So that is our agreement to accept the portion of the funds that hires the staff at Guardian Angel. Your next pay application for Phase B, a sixth grade trip is already on, and a second grade trip across over to a farm in Indiana. The yearly the technology activity report, and a couple of notifications on leaves without pay. Any specific questions?
I'm glad I'm not going the sixth grade trip anymore.
Oh, no, it's a good trip.
That's a good trip. Okay, you ready, Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Hood?
Yes.
Dr. Salvignano?
Yes.
Mrs. Slate?
Yes.
Mrs. Stricker?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to our information portion, superintendent's report.
Well, the finance report, obviously, we're going to just stick with the working budget. That was plenty enough to chew off, to bite and chew in one meeting. I'll give a construction update just because we've hit a little hiccup on the back. Stadium entrance, I told you it was supposed to be done before the first home football game. The stems to the lights were held up in customs for quite a long time. I didn't know stems to lights could be held up in customs, but they were. We have received shipping confirmation. They are tracking to arrive on campus Monday. So the lights will be installed Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. There's a couple of signage issues that are going to extend past that, but for all intents and purposes, from anybody's external eye, next week should wrap up the stadium entrance.
It looks like the ceiling of the building's going pretty well.
Yeah. So they've got a vast majority of the decking on. So this should finish up. This should finish up next week. We missed it a little bit, but that's something that we're going to have to deal with our finishes. Brick, mortar, steel doesn't seem to be any problem. The finishing elements have a lot of lead time. It did give us a great opportunity to come back and meet with vendors and say, okay, when you bid, you knew that we didn't have storage on campus. So you can't delay ordering the materials and then have a delay like this one just because you didn't want to store it at your warehouse. So that was that was kind of the gist of today's construction meeting. I think it was great that it happened out here because we've got a lot of finishes in that building, and we can't set in May with a finished building with no ceilings or lights. Can't happen. Out front, they're still working ahead of schedule. The biggest issue right now is being able to get to the point to set the steel, the big steel in the auditorium. They're about 2 weeks behind on setting that steel. a host of different reasons for that. So it's really hard that they're 2 weeks behind on setting the steel, but they're 45 days ahead on the overall project. Right now, I don't see any major issues. I still think we'll be dried in by the 1st of November, if we're dried in from the 1st of November. And they ordered the finishes in January, not April. I think we'll be in really good shape. We have a hard hat walkthrough on October the 21st, which is part of homecoming weekend. I opened that up to, anyone in the community to walk through. I think everybody will be pleased with the progress. The steel framing right now is happening on the second floor. They're about 50% through with framing in the walls. HVAC, electric, tubing, not the wires yet, but HVAC, electric, plumbing are all finished on the first floor and about 80% finished in the basement. When the basement gets finished and the steel frame, the steel walls framing goes up, finishes, then they'll all pop up to the third floor, and the roofing company will transition from decking into the wooden board and moving on into shingles. I would say you're probably looking at mid to late to early November on the windows, which would be the last step because they've got to do quite a bit of the brick work, before they set the windows. That'll be the last thing that'll draw us in, and then from there, it's just a race to make sure we get to the finish line. Please, October 21st, a great day. You all can walk through anytime you want to walk through, but the hard hat walkthrough for the 21st of the community to be a good chance to see, the footprint will be established. So that'd be a great opportunity. And then finally, just as a reminder, the gym and the locker rooms, will not start until after basketball season. Everybody has even asked me, why didn't we start that ahead of time? The kids walking in from the Kroger side, either drop off or parking, wouldn't have had an entrance into the school with the stadium and this side tore up. They come across the field and up into this side. So we had to keep that open while we were shutting this down, which put us in a situation to start after season.
It's going pretty well.
I'm sorry, is the hard hat walkthrough the 21st or the 24th?
21st of October.
And is there a window? I can't remember what window of time it is.
Email on that.
It's like,
We'll get another email on that.
it's like 8 to 12 or something?
I will make sure that we have that
Yeah.
at the next month's meeting, and we'll make sure that we put it on social media, Facebook and
Yeah.
Twitter for everybody. I thought it was 10 to 4, but I don't want to go on record and say that.
Okay.
All good?
Yep.
Okay. I'll go ahead and take a motion to have the agenda as part of the official board minutes.
I'll make the motion.
Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Hood?
Yes.
Dr. Savignano?
Yes.
Mrs. Slate?
Yes.
Mrs. Stricker?
Yes.
All right. 11 to 1?
I was wrong. It will go past 1. I guarantee
Oh,
that.
absolutely. A lot of people are going to do it. Any other business?
And has to be a hard hat. I can't let anybody walk through. I know hair and Ron and I don't have that issue, but I have to have a hard hat to walk through it.
How many will we have? Will we have enough to?
We'll have to
it
go in
shifts?
cycles.
Yeah.
We'll have to go in cycles, but we will have quite a substantial number of hard hats.
Okay.
And we're taking Tiger ambassadors and popping them at different spots so they can help discuss, so we don't have to take one person all the way on a tour.
Excellent.
So they'll kind of talk about, each spot of the construction process.
Any other business?
Lots
Board?
of compliments at the game Friday with the entrance. I think it was a lot of people's first time walking through it.
It looks great.
It does.
And as of right now, no water runoff on the field, so that's a big win as well. Tennis technology's coming next week to start
Excellent.
on the tennis courts.
Okay.
Do what to the tennis court?
Mill up the cracks and resurface.
Any quote or any information on that hillside? You know it'll never go away.
I know it'll never go away. So there's another problem, and I think if we're gonna address that, there's another problem, and I didn't recognize it. I know the front two corners are falling off, because we have, basically residential retaining walls. But, there's also water test technology, confirmed that there's water getting under the courts from the Kroger side, which is even bigger of an issue, than the front two corners.
Are we just gonna scrape it off the hillside and start over?
We've got a problem with the tennis courts. So they think we'll easily get 2 years out of the resurface, but otherwise you're just gonna be putting in money, over and over. So, we're working on a plan for that.
Retaining wall?
Yes,
I
yes,
mean, a
absolutely.
routine-
I mean, like full steps and angels singing.
Waterfalls.
Like this, it would be to push the hillside in and for additional seating.
Yeah, the only thing, and I'll continue to work on that, but we're having a little bit of trouble with the concrete, that you want from a liability standpoint, from the games and the playing around that area. So that's a little twist, but we'll figure it out.
Okay.
That's all I got. I apologize.
All right. Anybody else, board? Anybody have any new business?
Band festival. Band festival this weekend.
Band festival?
It's good.
Band Festival was past
This
weekend.
past weekend, yeah.
Past weekend.
9 bands, great
Oh, yeah,
turnout,
that's 2
great
weekends
weather.
ago. Last
It was a
weekend.
good event.
Good.
Any of the volleyball still playing in the OA?
No, they won't.
No. Lost in championship to St. Henry. All right. A lot of good talent around the different teams.
Okay, I will take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second. Thank you all for coming this evening. Thank you for